Live. Welcome, folks, to a hot, dry season with designer Patrick Mullen. How's it going, Pat?
Like we said, I think we both had better weeks,
Oh, I
hanging in
definitely
there.
have had better weeks. I haven't. All the bodies have been buried, however. So,
Yes. Well,
so
all right. So I think we're at the beginning of the U.S. operations phase here,
yes, we are
and
in. So it's NLF initiative. So I have gone. It is
right.
your operations phase at the bottom of the ops phase.
So let us see what we shall do. Hmm.
And if I didn't say this, this is turn 9. If you were with us last week, you'll recall that we stopped in the middle. For some reason, we stopped in the middle of the operations phase, which is taking longer now because there's a bunch of U.S. reinforcements have come in and a whole bunch of additional NLF reinforcements just came in. So it's taking longer to process that ops phase.
Yeah. It gets more dense as the campaign goes on. Hmm. 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 We're as thick as thieves over here.
I'm just sending out the tweet.
Oh, I should have done my aviation move first. Well, I'll do that.
Not a big deal.
Do you have a reaction move with number 66?
Where's 66?
We're over way at the right map edge in the bottom corner. This guy just moved there.
No.
All right. You can react again if you desire.
With 66, no thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the other stack's got a bunch of disrupted guys in it. I don't think you're. And
So if they try to react away, can they
Right.
react away if they're disrupted?
no,
Okay, well, that doesn't matter then.
because you can only react. So the automatic reactions in the game are really anybody in concealment markers. Okay.
Okay.
Which can include disrupted guys, but visible disrupted guys, right? They can't make a CR check.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's that. Guys were here and they're just gonna. That seems to be everybody over there. Feel pretty good about. Do I feel pretty good about? Except we're not going to move him. We're going to leave him back there.
United Shades of America has always been a space for difficult conversation.
Whoops.
Whoops, what?
Oh, there was some noise over the chat due to some tab audio that started playing suddenly.
Ah.
Sorry about that. You wouldn't hear that, but the stream would.
The stream would, yeah. In fact, let me. This guy's actually, well, he doesn't really have a choice. Stuck there. He's just going to continue there. He doesn't need to unfix. All right. What about these guys? All right, now for this nonsense. Any reactions? Over here by Camp Sweeta.
No.
All right.
Not so far.
Still none, I take it.
No.
That movement cost for that mountain. 4. That guy's actually gonna go there. hold off on him. No, we don't want to go there. We're going to move them all there. So, still no. So, any reactions there? You do it as the first guy shows up.
Well, I'd have to roll the CRs individually for the units, right?
Right. And if you fail, you're strung out. So you do it by stack. So to react, so for that stack of units, you would use the 6 value.
All right. Well, we'll try and react away with these guys then.
All right.
Looks like they do. I take the CR mod?
No, you don't. But as I'm examining it further, you actually can't react out because I've got Zocs all around you, so you can't react into a Zoc.
Oh, okay.
You could react some of the guy, and the other stack is full, so they're just kind of there. Okay, so that was
pretty much.
That was
there's
pointless.
nowhere for him to go that's not in a Zoc.
That's all that. What about over here? All right. And oh, let me double check. I didn't leave anybody unmoved that I want to move. Yeah, these guys are all there. I am. Yeah, we're not going to move that guy there. Fuck that. I didn't unfix either. We're just gonna. It's gonna go there. Okay. All right. So I am done, and it looks like I only have. Thought very hard about attacking your disrupted guys there, but I decided against it. And however, we're gonna attack that Lonesome Joe there with everything we got.
Which one?
This guy right here.
Oh, okay.
It's Lonesome Joe, as I called him. So let's see. We've got a bunch of shit. 5, 6, 7. $18. 31 ground. And we're going to throw in this IDF, just everything in range. So that's 31 ground. Nine in fire, 9 in actual mortars and artillery. And then it's going to be 10, 18, 9 and 18, 27. So I'm attacking with 58, 31 of it on the ground. So I'm assuming it looks like you've got enough support where you can provide up to double his strength, so you might as well.
I can provide double his strength.
Right.
So you're right. I might as well. So that'll be 6 points. So he'll have a total of 9 then, which sounds like it's going to be in the neighborhood of 5 to 1, 5 or 6 to 1.
Yeah, 58.
So it's be 6 to 1.
Yes. So let's see here. Let's look at the
Yeah, just 6 to 1.
attack step resolution, fit to width. All right, so we're at 6 to 1. My attacker support strength is greater and double your ground defense, so that's +4. I'm not attacking from more than 2 hexes. Or am I? I am. So that's another +1. So that's +5. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess
got 3
you are.
hexes adjacent. And I didn't even think about that. Yep. Nothing else there, but so that's +4 +5. And then there's no shifts. And then what kind of terrain?
Marsh Paddy.
Marsh
It's a
Paddy.
village, but it's other terrain in hex, so it's Marsh Paddy, which is
So it's
-1.
-1. So this is a 6 to 1 +4. This should be, yeah. He's done.
All right. Yeah, we're not even looking that result up.
Yeah, he's just toast. So that's fit to width. That's going to be 2 more intensity. And that is going to be 2 more victory points for me. And it is indeed time. We choose to advance after combat, which we shall. These guys. And yeah, we don't want any more surrounded of camps or guys or anything like that. So that's that. And I have no other attacks.
Okay.
That is that. So that is the end of my operations phase. So we go to the final ISR phase.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts. Do you have any concealing to do?
Not at this time.
Okay. Double check when.
AKA, I used them all.
Yes, got it. And Red Haze will fly out. Red Haze will go somewhere. Red Haze will go there. Spooky's gonna fly over there. Sit there. All these guys are gonna stack up to go home. And what to do with these guys? Yeah, it looks like it's what to do with them. And that is my aviation step. So the only place you're going to have IDF fires are next to concealment marker 19 and 66.
Nope.
Okay. So we're going to start with intelligentsia. So the guys on top of the mountain are going to guess that number 19 is PLAF.
There you go.
Okay. And then the 1st Infantry Division is going to go after 66. And let's see here. They're in that's -3, so where they need a 3 or less. They failed horribly. So do you have any intelligentsia to do?
We get the... let me pull the chart up. Hold on. We have the 9th PLF Division.
Right.
Let's go for... Hex 1913.
But what? Blah, blah? I just heard 13.
1913. It's over by Dweebah
Okay, 19.
It looks like I made it, too.
You rolled a 3. It looks like you did. Where is 19? There's 1913. And there it is. Oh, and let me unfix the other. There you go. And now
That's
any local
probably yeah, I was just looking at that. That same stack would have gotten hit by a local force had I not been, or ISR'd by local force, but they're revealed, so it doesn't matter.
So it was redundant. Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, so that's that. Now we go to surveillance. And Spooky is going to try to he's just going to automatically, that stack of unfixed guys, he's just going to unfix them. The concealment marker underneath has no effect. In fact, I'm assuming it's a dummy because how else can you have 4 units and a concealment marker in the same hex? Then
There's a way to do that.
yeah. So all those guys, he's doing the automatic unfixed fixing on the unfixed guys there. All right. This is a stack of stuff. All right. This observation chopper here is going to go after number 66. 66 is in dense jungle. He needs a 2 or less. Failed. And the other guys don't matter because the other concealment marker was a dummy. So that is the end of surveillance. So now we go to reconnaissance. And I do have me some reconnaissance, I think. We've got a guy who's going to go after concealment marker 48, and that guy needs a 5 or less. He failed. Now we've got a guy who's going to go after 47, and that guy needs a 4 or less. Here we go. He failed.
Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, and let's...
Mr. Tweezers, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. We might have a relatively short session tonight, though.
We got a guy who's going to go after 66, and that guy needs a... What kind of train? That guy's going to need a 5 or less. Failed. A lot of failure.
Is that...
And...
Okay, that is dense jungle.
Yep. So that's it for over there. What about over here's? Well, got a bunch of special forces debts over here. So we got one guy who's going to go after number 36 and in 2011. And that guy needs a 4 or less and fails. And then we got another guy who's going to go after number 41. No, he's going to go after 36. and needs a 4 or less. Got him. 36 is revealed and fixed. Alright, a recon dude. And we've got another guy who's going to go after 41. And he's going to need a 5 or less. Failed. I've failed on most of those. And that is the end of my recon. Do you have any recon you would desire to do?
No. There are guys who are in position to do it. Their targets are already revealed.
All right.
So there is no meaningful recon for the NLF to do.
I will hit the move flags because it's very busy. There, now it looks nice and clean. And I will begin to gather my aviation and send it home. Sure, I don't have any hovers. Nope, doesn't look like it. Alrighty. Let me make sure I haven't left. This is when the game gets this thick. This is when you have to look, especially on Vassal, twice to make sure there isn't an aviation unit sitting underneath something.
Yeah. I wonder if I don't think I've ever seen a Vassal module that does this. So it would seem to be to me to be trivially easy to be able to code so that certain types of units always end up on the top of this stack. And I'm thinking specifically of air units here, but air units in OCS are always supposed to be on, assuming they're, up, available air units, they're always supposed to be on top of the stack. That would seem to me, not knowing very much about how these things are set up on the back end of Vassal specifically, that would seem to me to be pretty easy to do.
I will ask Francisco. That is an interesting question. There are these like weird hard limits, like with the counters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In terms of like, it's one of the reasons. Like, so if you think of it from a programming standpoint, I'll diverge. Remember when we were playing Civil War and we had those things that were like permanent markers?
Yes.
Okay. So all the stuff that's at fire support based out Tiang you can't see, but those are just counters and they're normal, right?
Right.
You see fire support based out Tiang. If you hover on it, right? So if I place it on top of that hex,
mm-hmm.
originally had it where it wasn't a marker, but it wasn't a counter. It was like this weird thing that like blocked out that was everything that was underneath it.
Okay.
But you didn't need to shift move it and stuff like that, right? And so eventually I had him just make it a counter. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, yeah, it just, yes, it's infrastructure, but you need, make it a counter. So I'm sure there might be a way to play some sort of game with that. Yeah,
I'm guessing there. It's Vassal. Vassal's flaky. It's done with Java, and Java's Lord knows flaky. So just seems to me like it wouldn't be particularly hard to do from a code standpoint. But I don't know. Like I said, I've never seen it.
I don't think they're ever going to get the Vassal reboot thing done. Because it's so dependent on individuals, and there's a lot of righteous discussion. It all started with, hey, Java's going away, and of course it isn't.
That is not exactly the case.
Right, right.
It's ceased to be free for developers, at least for some developers.
Right. That's it. That's the only thing that's happened. The second thing is the issue that wasn't discussed, like the feeling I get is there are a couple of, like, how can I put it, hardline. There's some some Jacobins about changing it.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
You're in the wargaming hobby? You're kidding.
Right. But the silent majority that aren't like the avatars to, like, let's make this change happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are thinking things like, well, what do you do? So what's going to happen with, like, all these other modules that are out there?
See, that's a great question, because if you actually transplanted, if you basically redid Vassal in a different, using a different engine, you could easily have compatibility issues.
You would have two softwares. You would have one for, right? And then...
and nobody wants to support that.
Right, and what do you do then if you, like, it's just time to update an older module, right? Well, it's going to dissuade people updating an older module because they have two choices. They can either do it in Java, right, and they'll catch flack from the Jacobins, right? Or it's a lot of work to translate it into a whole new software system.
Yeah, and some of these modules do have some code. There isn't really necessarily much code behind a lot of modules, but for some there is. It's quite a bit of code behind there. So those would be very difficult. You'd have to basically redo them.
Yeah.
So it would be problematic to make that change at this point.
Garner Hudson, it is not shipped. It has not met its number, but by God, I hope it does soon, and then we can talk about when it ships.
No, it'll get there.
But yeah, it ain't shipped because we still need 150 pre-orders. Ish. But yeah, that's, I kind of, as it's kind of my want in life, right? The people I took issue with, like, I think it's wonderful if they want to update, and move to a better software,
Mm-hmm.
But those same people, like, I would see in forums where they were discussing it, were talking about things like, and then nobody should be able to do anything in Java after that again. We need to make sure that the community doesn't do any more coding in Java. And it's like, it's like, why does there have to be an extremist solution? What are you going to do with all the old modules? Well, they'll all just have to be converted. I'm like, okay, so which one of you guys is going to organize this thing?
So so that's mad with paper asshole talk right there.
Right.
That shows a lack of understanding as to how these things actually happen, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do the work.
Right. Nobody's allowed to be, like, the head of the central committee for Vassal for Vassal purity, right? And go along and tell people what they're going to do or not. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to work. Yeah. They're just, all these people, they're all crazy.
No, not only isn't there a committee, there really can't be a committee. It's just not how this works.
Right.
So,
it will not. Right.
It's a nice idea. It'd be cool if the software was updated and all the modules were updated and it wasn't flaky and all that. But who's going to do that? That's great. That's that's great.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, Tabletop Simulator's got the same kind of thing going on too. It's not immune to any of these issues. So
the same thing's going to happen. So somebody sat down and, like, pounded out a bunch of modules in, like, 2 or 3 weeks because this is why I'm not as sold as, like, your buddy Jim is, on it, right? So they cranked all these out, right?
Well, for the stuff he's playing, Tabletop Simulator works.
No, it's awesome. Somebody did it, right?
Yeah.
And then what's going to happen is Steam's going to require an update.
That can happen. Well, or the software will, and a range of those modules will get obsoleted out.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive if you've seen some of like the Napoleon at War quad and the what was that? There was like a 7 Years War quad. It wasn't called that, and it might not have been 7 Years War.
I don't trust it because the way mods work when you're talking about a workshop, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, mods because that's all it is. It's mods in a Steam workshop. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Those things go obsolete so quick, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Whereas with a Vassal module, I know it isn't. It's in Java.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way Java runs, because it creates this virtual machine, right? That then runs the software. So, which is the advantage of Java, right? It's that you just have the appropriate virtual machine installed for your hardware, and it runs on that, right? That's why when I was running a Linux box, for example, I had zero problems running anything in Vassal because it's just Java, right? Java runs on anything. That's the virtue of Java.
Correct. So I think I hit the end turn button. We are done.
So the turn button too. So I don't think we're going to get another turn done.
I'm thinking about if we just interact with the chat for 15 minutes and call it a night, because I don't want to get where we were last. In this, you know what I mean? This mode.
We're in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was just just the way it worked out that particular night.
Yeah, that night. Well, everybody had a lot of reinforcement, so I guess.
And that's true too. All right, I saved the game. Then there's not a ton of people in the chat, unfortunately, this evening.
No. Let's see, Gamer Hudson. Oh, it'll meet its number. It's only been out since April 9th. Excuse me, April 19th, and it's a war game. So all we can do is market it, and it will meet its number. I know, for instance, talk about like big response marketing. What's it called? There's going to be a piece on it on Wild Weasel soon.
Oh, cool.
And that gets a huge audience.
Mm-hmm.
So there are bumps like that will make it happen, but it's steadily gone up every month. There was a rush. Now it's like ticking up, and then there'll be every time there's a new podcast or something like that has a decent audience to it. There's another bump with things. So it'll happen. So I don't think. Yeah, let me just save it. Yeah, it's a shame it went so short, but I thought my decisions were a lot more quick than I thought they were going to be, because I thought for sure we'd go at least an hour and 15. Let me save this. Turn 10 begin. But really, with all the stuff and all the counters I had, I wasn't really in a position to attack you down there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just needed to like kind of get into position and then think about what I'm going to be doing next turn. So it turned into just, all right, well, we're not going to, no more surround sound attacks by you. Please leave. Was the only thing I did down there. Right.
Well, and that's kind of what's going to end up happening too, is those guys are going to fade back into the jungle.
Yep. And however, I think your reinforcements that arrived, they're in a little bit of a box.
Well, so that's where they had to show up pretty much. They had to show up south of, I think, Hex Row 14. So they're going to show up in that lower right-hand corner one way or the other. And I think it just kind of happened that you had a giant stream of reinforcements coming in. On the other hand, they can spread out. The terrain is defensively advantageous.
Right. The other thing is, well, and that was also, I accepted weakness elsewhere to do this.
Right.
Right, to bring a lot of stuff in and say, all right, let me focus on these guys. Now, having said that, up there, like around north of the rubber plantation, or shall I say northwest, I know you've got at least another regiment, maybe two.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys can launch an attack, kind of come in from the west there and attack what you can, try to pry those guys loose or move in to try to help those guys who just showed up move out. So it'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think next turn is a turn where I'll probably have some success, but you never know. You never know in this game. So with that, I guess we're done, man.
I guess we're done. All right, cool. I have saved, so we will start turn 10.
I got a
next
question
Monday,
from
then.
Tweezers real quick. Yes, it is useful. You get bonuses. So command and control, especially for the Americans at this time, was very freeform. Very this battle is a
Slapdash almost.
Yeah, there was but a creative slapdash, if that makes any sense. The U.S. was built to do. Now, what I'm going to talk about right now is an extreme example that was frowned upon at the time. But during this battle, there was one HHC that was running about 11 company, right? And that's too many. But the U.S. command and control structure was meant to, division and brigade level were there to help the battalions. All right, these guys are now tasked to these guys and that sort of thing. So the U.S. as one army has a very flexible command and control. The NLF battalions, they're just answering to the regiments. But in the game, you can be undisrupted by any headquarters or HHC if you're within 3 hexes. Okay? So that gives the U.S. a big advantage in terms of undisrupting units, and you're not adjacent to somebody. However, as Gary's very aware, you can only take replacements if you're at a regimental, or for him, regimental or division headquarters, or for the U.S., it's at any of these base areas, or specifically a brigade or divisional headquarters. So, and also being near for the NLF, those regimental headquarters, and for the U.S., your parent HHC, specifically your parent, gives you a plus, a bonus to all CR checks. So there's like a light, and there's an incentive there to stay near the regimental, or if you're within 3 hexes. So there's an incentive for the U.S. battalions to stay near their parent HHC headquarters, and the same goes for the NLF staying near their parent regimental headquarters. But to reflect the fluid nature of how the NLF, even though they had the Soviet-style command and control system, had to fight in this terrain. Isolated units a lot of the time. And for the U.S., how they built their force, which was to be very, okay, you 2 companies, you're now attached to the 1st of the 27th. And you're a task force, and that just happens now. There's an incentive that can be easily disobeyed for both sides if tactical circumstances require otherwise. So that makes sense to you, Blue Tweezers, as a long explanation. And how about you, Gary?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, just the way I'm trying to explain it. So that's how it works. There are benefits, but you can the benefits aren't like absolutely essential. And one of the keys in this game is there's no supply, right?
Mm-hmm.
So supply's still baked in if you think about it, about where you can take replacements, where you can rebuild stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for beans and bullets for both sides at this scale in this conflict, it just didn't matter.
These are 1 mile hexes, right?
Right.
Okay.
So the U.S., not reflected in the helicopter pool is, somebody needs resupply. They're just going to helicopter some stuff over and resupply them. And for the NLF, the whole map practically is a cash zone,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of beans and bullets. And, and all the other restrictions about supply, like, like the U.S. can't replace mechanized or armored units, right? That's just baked into the AOR, right?
Mm-hmm.
The tank recovery equipment isn't around, whatever. They do have the localized stuff with some of the, even the regimental headquarters from the 11th ACR isn't there. So they'll recover it later. Or
Right.
the site's been marked, but that's just the way it is. That those facilities aren't around here. So, it. I always say, I think it was Bruce who was like, it's so refreshing. There's no supply rules. I'm like, there are. They're just kind of baked into the game.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly right. It's just built in.
Right. And so. At that, it's like if I designed a supply system, it would have been foolish, right? It's like it would be a war game needs supply, and then
It depends. I mean, some war games don't.
right.
So,
But if you think about it, all do, and this one does. It's just
well, ideally it's always reflected somehow. Right.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that you need discrete mechanics. I mean, for example, in Advanced Squad Leader, right, there's no supply rules as such, but you can break your machine gun and maybe fix it or replace it.
Right. Or maybe not.
It's a matter of the scale, right?
Right.
And this is operational, definitely operational, but it's a pretty low level of operational too, because of the topic.
But it's also unique to this operation and this ground, right? So at the same scale, when I do Lamson 719, supply is a big factor.
Okay.
So there is tracing supply lines. There is, because, for instance, when the Arvin went into Laos, it's in a different time period where communist ADF fire was far more effective. So they were doing things like so in that game there will be like specific landing zones, which are like basically aerial supply hubs. Because if you think about it, you're doing the air mobile stuff differently than you are here. You're respecting that ADF, right? Yes, they could come in and just do a resupply on some companies and stuff like that, but they were so afraid of the ADF fire that was in that area that it had to be done in a more rational basis. And it's funny is you can see the difference. When I read the you never get that level of sit reps or AARs, for instance, from the communist side. They're just not available, right? But like when you read the unit AARs from this operation, right? Nobody ever talks about supply difficulties. In fact, the only thing you'll hear regarding logistics is it's hilarious. Is 1st Infantry Division and 25th both like independently, right? Yelling at their artillery units that they need to be better about communicating artillery ammunition requirements because everything is in a fucking emergency. You know? You know what I mean? So they're like, we're firing so much, we're going to be out tomorrow, and they're like, God damn it! It's not like they're almost out of ammo. It's more like the supply guys are like, you're ruining my railroad. You know. However, in Lamson 719, it's the exact opposite. Units run out of supply on both sides. It's interesting. You know. All right, well, everybody.
All right.
Thanks for the question, Blue Tweezers, and I will see you on Thursday. And good night, everybody.
Yep, we'll see everybody on Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern for No Peace Without Spain. Everybody have a great night.